Hi everyone, welcome back to Language Travel Adoptee with me, Emily. I'm here to share with you how language learning is actually going for me for quarter 1. I did post this video of my language goals for this year, but as we know, we make these beautiful plans for the new year and then sometimes we have to throw those plans like right out the window based on what other life things are lifing going on. So how is my language learning going? What am I actually doing? In December to January, I really didn't do anything. I'm gonna be honest, I wanted to start up solo language learning again because I was studying at a language school in Jordan for Arabic, and even before that, I was studying at a very intense language school in Istanbul, Turkey for Turkish. So this is me kind of going back into my solo learning, which I was very excited to do because I was just so drained and tired from both of those really intense language experiences, even though they were like totally worth it. I wouldn't do them again though, but that's for another story. So how do I want to maintain Turkish and Arabic? Because I already had technically plans for how I wanted to approach my 3 new languages this year: Farsi Persian, Brazilian Portuguese, and Russian. So I already have milestones that I want to use in order to practically prove to myself that I can apply my skills in each of those languages at whatever goal I have for the end of this year, right? But the same sort of problem that I was facing was, well, how do I maintain Turkish and Arabic? Those are my hardest languages. You know, at some point in language learning, when you have been dedicating a lot of time and a lot of your life to this never-ending learning process, you will find that eventually you won't have to do any sort of input warm-up or really have any contact with the language in order to be able to produce it spontaneously with any speaker that's in front of you, especially if your goal the whole time for learning a language was to speak, because that's where I kind of am with my Romance languages that I've been studying since 2018. That's where I am with German as well. And so I don't really put them on my list to study anymore. But Turkish and Arabic are definitely not like that. And if anything, they're probably gonna have to have like double the time of that in order to even get to that point, right? And honestly, I don't know if I really want to dedicate the time to get to that point because it just doesn't make sense for what I want to prioritize my time for. Like, I have so many more languages that I want to learn. I don't want to lose any of the progress that I made in Turkish and Arabic from last year. What I did was first think about, why am I feeling this really big resistance of even starting up lessons again to maintain these languages? And my reasoning was, I had some irrational thoughts going on, and I told myself, I don't want to prove how much I have sucked, how much I suck in Arabic and Turkish right now because I haven't been maintaining them. Turkish for the last 9 months, Arabic for the last 2 months, right? Because remember, I did take that break in December and January. So there was a really big fear of mine that I think is based on the old mindset that I used to have for Turkish and Arabic, which was, I will never reach any sort of conversational fluency in either of these languages because they are so different from what Romance languages or German presented to me as a native speaker of English. They were just very different and I needed more patience, but I was constantly berating myself and my inner critic was running wild. And once I proved myself that I could do it, now I'm in the phase where I'm like, okay, I need to maintain, but I'm also feeling like I'm hanging off the edge of a cliff to what I have built. And I don't want to go back to where I was feeling really bad about myself with Turkish and Arabic before going to those immersion programs. So I was battling a lot of that mindset, and I think that's also the point why I still put off even starting like a lesson, taking lessons again for maintenance. And I finally booked 1 lesson. Usually I like to book a package lesson of italki classes, but I just booked 1 lesson, and for each of those with teachers that I knew that I would resonate with. They're also professional teachers. I didn't want any sort of tutor just because I was used to taking lessons from professional teachers before in my immersion program, and it just worked out really well. So finally took a lesson from them and I felt myself pause so much. There's definitely not as much fluency as you might have found when I posted this and this video for my speaking progress in Turkish and Arabic from last year. But again, that is the natural ebb and flow of language learning in general, and I had to remind myself of that. I'm going to pause. It's going to be harder to recall, but overall it's going to be easier for me to recall and faster for me to recall both of these languages over time because I've already built that really good foundation in both of them, right? Around a B2. I think just going in there and just like doing the thing and showing up was the most important aspect of being able to retain that confidence about speaking Turkish and Arabic with another living human being. So I am currently just taking one Turkish class every 2 weeks, and then one, I think that's 45 minutes, and then one 30-minute class of Arabic for mainly Levantine dialect instead of MSA every Saturday. Schedule all of those in advance. So I have about 10 more lessons, so I just don't have to think about it and talk myself out of not having a lesson because those are my main ways of maintenance for Arabic and Turkish. I am also watching The Gift in Turkish. Mainly during my lunch breaks, I will download the episodes on Netflix and then just listen, and sometimes I rewatch a whole bölüm, like episode of that series just to listen even more and hone my listening skills and write down maybe 1 to 2 words max of new words that I learned from that series. And then the same thing with Arabic. I'm still watching Made in dubbed rather in Syrian Arabic. And again, maybe during like a dinner break is when I will listen to that. Don't really want to go past B2 for either of them, but it's just the fact of being able to build back up what I have not been able to work on. For Portuguese, Farsi, and Russian, it's funny, I thought that I would learn each of these languages. For quarter 2, I'd be learning Portuguese. For quarter 3, I'd be learning Russian, and then quarter 4 would be for Persian. But I'm actually sensing that I can include a little bit of everything with all of those languages right now. And I think after seeing that, my motivation really increased after just taking the step and showing up in my very first review lesson for Turkish and Arabic. That really inspired me to just start doing something with Portuguese and, Persian and Russian. So I'm basically just listening to Russian A2 material, literally any sort of video that pops up on my feed for YouTube in Russian where people are talking pretty slowly, but I can just hear what I haven't heard because I haven't studied Russian in like 3 years, but it's coming back slowly with just listening. With Persian, I am just doing one Pimsleur lesson either for 15 or 30 minutes. I don't always believe in pressuring myself to finish all of the lesson, even though they say that that's the best thing to do to get the most out of it. For me, the best thing to do to get the most out of any sort of resource is to do what works best for me. And I've had a lot of experience anyways with being able to experiment with that it doesn't make me scared if I can only do like 15 minutes of a Pimsleur lesson. You can also, if you want to try out a 7-day trial for yourself, use my code down below because I really do like this program, even though it sometimes does get monotonous, especially for people who are really wanting something visual to learn from instead of audio. But I really like it, and I really like it for pronunciation, especially as a beginner. So one of those for Persian, one of those for Portuguese. Again, with Portuguese, because of my strong language romance background, I don't have to use so much cognitive energy to go through a lesson for Portuguese like I do for Persian. So it's not really a big deal for me to do 30 minutes every day for that. Now, I also made a very impulse purchase buy, which I guess that's the best thing that Facebook is for, really, with all of these ads targeted to language learners from Read to Speak. And I've always wanted to learn a language that's similar to German, at least dabble in it. I don't know how far I really actually want to go towards fluency, but because I've done that with so many Romance languages anyways, I wanted to see how it's like to learn a similar language to German. And so I picked up the Swedish version of A1 to C2 from Read to Speak. And I was very concerned that it was only AI being written for all of the pages because I was like, $44 for a whole A1 to C2 course. I'm not sure how comprehensive that is, but I guess for $44, like it's it makes sense to try it out, right? I am just doing like 10 to 20 minutes going through maybe like 3 to 5 pages, depending on where I stop. And it's basically a method where you read, like there's no audio with it, you just read, and they have everything like transliterated in Latin script. I'm not sure how that would exactly work out for a different writing system, which is why I wanted to do Swedish, that at least has most of the Latin alphabet in there with variations, just like in the German alphabet. So yeah, we'll see how that goes, but that's really just for, yeah, being able to celebrate what I can have fun with. I think if you had asked me probably about 2 years ago how I felt about dabbling in different languages, I would have said, no, I must get to like C1 in Turkish and Arabic before I even worry about any other language. And that's simply not true. Like I was really putting a barrier to myself and to my curiosity and to my purpose in life, and how languages serve that purpose, which is really to express myself through different styles of communication, and languages definitely help me do that. So that's why I am venturing into that territory, but I might go into this year and write a review for you guys about Read to Speak, because I know there's a lot of people worried about if it really works, if it's AI, etc. And I am usually not paid by any of these companies. I literally just share whatever resources, if it's a specific resource. I usually just share what I feel about it. Make sure to like and subscribe as well if you would find that interesting. Also give a like, because believe it or not, it does help the algorithm for other language learners to find me, just like you, if you enjoyed this video. I also love to coach language learners to master any language, but on their own terms. So if you are looking for a language learning coach to accelerate your results, then book a free discovery call down below, and we'll see if we're a good fit to work together. Other than that, let me know in the comments, what are you working on? How is your Q1 going for this year? And we'll see each other in another video soon.